So the Orlando Magic have a chance at something really special in this upcoming draft. See, they're in position to land 2 top 10 picks, with a real chance at landing Cade and anyone else just outside the top 5. And if they were to pick Scottie Barnes, they would literally be reuniting a high school tandem that dominated at Montverde Academy. But that's far from the main reason I'm vouching for Scottie Barnes to Orlando, and I'll expand on it further into this vid. But let me go ahead and say, out of all the players projected to go top 10 in the draft, no one really embodies the quality of versatility more so than Scottie Barnes, and great versatility allows for a variety of solid fits. And after considering the many realistic destinations for a talent like Scottie, I've come to believe that the Orlando Magic need to pick him up if they have the chance. And given their leverage in this draft, let's just say they have a whole lot of options. So yeah, today we're gonna look at Scottie's ability and why the Magic need to land him, along with why the Magic's future is pretty underrated given this young team's potential. So yeah, but before I move on, what's up YouTube, Plug Speaks, back with a vid. If you're new, first of all, welcome, go ahead and sub. Also like the vid if you enjoy. I drop bangers 3 to 4 times a week, and we are grinding for a 5K, so I'd for sure appreciate it. But back to the vid though. Now, like I said, the Orlando Magic have 2 top 10 picks in this highly anticipated draft class, and I won't go too deep into the Orlando Magic's team management moves and stuff like that, but I must say, this season they made it painfully obvious they had no interest in winning. They literally gave up their 3 best players in Aaron Gordon, Vucevic at the trade deadline for nothing too crazy in return, especially considering that Vucevic was an all-star. However, everyone must admit they made the necessary sacrifice, because now they are in position to acquire some quality talent in the draft, one of which being Scottie Barnes, who is easily one of the better players projected outside the top 5 picks. See, Scottie Barnes is one of those do-it-all players that any team needs to compete, and as I go over his positives, y'all will probably agree. See, his best qualities include his defense, his playmaking skills, his effort, and even his overall offense, even though it's limited. And I'll briefly speak on each of these qualities before I get into his specific fit with the Magic. Now defensively, this man is 6'9", and multiple sources claim his wingspan is 7'2". That's ridiculous, and because he's not slow on his feet, Scottie's able to pretty much defend every position and do a good job, which isn't something you can say about many forwards in the NBA, let alone this draft, especially when it comes to perimeter defense. And then his playmaking skills also makes him unique, because considering he's 6'9" and built the way he is, he does a solid job of bringing the ball up the floor, facilitating, and sometimes being the main playmaker as a point forward. It's one of the reasons he's received heavy comparisons to Draymond Green and even the legendary Magic Johnson from scouts all across the league. But yeah, now offensively, like I said, he's limited. His jump shot and perimeter game is somewhere between unreliable and inconsistent. That's not what you want, but at least he knows his spots, like his shot selection is wise for the most part. For instance, Scottie shot 50% from the field this season, and you definitely do not do that by taking ill-advised shots. So yeah, and he gets most of his points off a mixture of floaters and jump hooks in the mid-range, along with layups in the half court and just drives in transition. Now overall at Florida State, he averaged 10 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, and just under 2 steals on 50% shooting from the field and 27% shooting from 3. Those are pretty solid stats given his minutes and shot attempts each game. But now for his actual fit with this Orlando Magic team. And you know, although I mentioned them picking up Cade earlier, let me be clear that I believe the Magic should pick Scottie as their second top 10 choice, regardless of whether or not they get the sacred number 1 pick. And I'll explain why right now. So yeah, for one, the Magic don't even really have a starting forward, or many forwards on the team at all. Because sure, they have guys that play the position, but there's a thing called reliability, and they don't have that. Not to mention, most of them wouldn't be starting on a playoff team. And now I won't pretend I kept up with the Magic in the regular season because I definitely didn't, but from what I can tell, their main small forwards / power forwards include James Ennis, Otto Porter, Chuma, and Jonathan Isaac. And I'm pretty sure most people do not recognize those names, outside of probably Jonathan Isaac and Otto Porter. But it's partially because only 2 of them played more than 20 games this year. So yeah, like I said, they're unreliable. Whether it be because of unfortunate injuries or lack of production, the forward position on this team is just lacking. Which brings us to Scottie Barnes. Drafting Scottie would immediately fill in a role that's practically empty, and it wouldn't be filled by just anybody. It would be filled with a player that's expected to be a long-time starter in the NBA, and then on top of that, the Magic would have yet another player that has the ability to just make things happen as far as playmaking. And I understand a bunch of ball dominant players isn't always the best idea, but Scottie wouldn't necessarily always require the ball. Like I said, I see it as just having someone else besides the actual point guard that can keep the offense flowing, keep it running. Basically like Hayward in Charlotte, cause prior to his injury, he was doing a decent job of coexisting with LaMelo on the floor, even though they're literally both 6'8" with quality passing skills. Like, they have the same abilities, but it worked. So yeah, overall, Scottie provides the huge need of a reliable forward. And then beyond that, I really feel as though Scottie's game would match the young personnel. Young, promising players like Cole Anthony, Wendell Carter, and RJ Hampton. These are players that Scottie would likely coexist with. For instance, if I'm Cole Anthony and we the Magic select Scottie Barnes, I'm gonna be a joyful man, because anyone who's watched Cole play already knows this. His size pretty much forces him under the title of a point guard, but in reality, he's just an undersized shooting guard and only passes when the situation, or usually passes when the situation makes it obvious. I mean, the guy had 2 game winners this season, if not 3. Trust me, that doesn't happen by being a pass first player, and I'm sure he'd welcome the opportunity to be less responsible as a playmaker and more responsible as a scorer. It's literally what he does best. And then as far as RJ Hampton and Wendell Carter, basically the same thing applies. I don't see them getting in each other's way much, if at all. But moving on to the last primary reason Scottie to Orlando needs to happen. Well, the thumbnail doesn't feature Cade and Scottie just for no reason. And man, if they land Cade, they're almost obligated to draft Scottie. Like, seriously, the camaraderie and familiarity would be there from day one. Not to mention, Scottie is a Florida native. He clearly loves the state. His D1 offers included all the Blue Bloods. He could have played for UNC, but he chose to stay home at Florida State. So yeah, it'd just be cool. And I said it in another vid, I imagine playing for your home team provides even more motivation to show out and to get the Rookie of the Year, to be the home state hero as if it's a movie. But nah, seriously, I don't see what could go wrong. And the Orlando Magic should pick up Scottie Barnes with their second top 10 choice. But that's about it for this video. Y'all let me know how you feel about this scenario. Do you vouch for it? Why or why not? What other teams would you like to see Scottie Barnes on? But yeah, I appreciate y'all watching as always. Like the sub, share it, sub if new, all of that, and I'm out.